There we go. Friday, January 10th, 2025, our second dynamic Friday of 2025. And it is that time of the morning, a minute before, where I click all the buttons and make sure everything's working appropriately. So those of you that enjoy watching this content on social media are able to see it, because if I don't push the right button, no one sees it but myself. As we get settled in this morning on Free Conference Call HD, appreciate each and every one of you guys being there as well. You are the core part of what we do every single day. You're the core part about what we do every single day for years after years after years. And even though this industry some days is easy and some days just sucks, you continue to show up, dial in, buy in, and are the core part about what we do. So it appears that I have set Facebook properly. It appears that you're here with me as well. And today I'm going to discuss with you, before Adam's segment, some practical tips on what the heck to do with the weekend. You know, it sounds kind of silly, right? We talked about practical sales tips all week. You know, things like the presentation, step 1, step 2, step 6, step 6A. But today I also want to talk about what you can do during the weekend. Because if you can win the weekend, if you can take some practical tips from today's conversation and successfully implement them this weekend, you can do two things. First, you can relax. Like, you can say, I've done all the preparation necessary, and now it's time to chill out. You can also make sure that you enter the week successfully, like prepared, organized, cleaned up, ready to go, and excited. If you start the week with no level of preparation, it's no fun. Like, you already have put yourself in the position where you're starting backwards. So 2 things that you're going to learn today from me before we get into Adam's segment is how to make sure that you are being organized and prepared during the weekend. And I'm sure you've heard a few of these tips before. And also how to make sure that you can take some time away from the business. Because what is the point of this business if all you ever do is work and never enjoy the why behind why you're doing it? If you're watching on social media right now, say hi, drop a comment, let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching sometime in the future, do me that same favor and let us know that you saw the video and took something from it, because we appreciate the interaction on social media. So again, good morning and welcome back on script to our second Dynamic Friday of 2025. We kicked off this year strong 7 days ago. Even though the year hadn't sort of started, in my opinion, I think it was an awesome, warm, introduction to the year. But now the year has started entirely and a full week has been completed. As we get going this week, like I said already, do me a favor. If you see this video now, next week, next month, next year, do me a favor and interact with it. The growth that we experience as an agency has always come from social media, sharing tips, tricks, resources, experiences, carriers, leads, training. It all comes from connecting with people out there who are watching through this kind of conversation. And how does that happen? Well, by commenting, sharing, and interacting with that content when you do see it. If you're in the StreamYard today, feel free to interact with the conversation. We're going to keep today's training 30 minutes on Free Conference Call HD, maybe 25, and wrapped up officially by around 10:15 a.m. Eastern. You have the opportunity, if you're in the StreamYard right now, to ask a question and be involved in that conversation. The kind of training that we do every single day, that we make open to the public on Fridays, is the kind of training that can change the course of someone's business. And many of those people won't know about what we do unless you share that content out with others. Help spread the news about what we do. It makes a difference. So I was thinking this morning as I was getting together today's conversation, in a very brief manner, 2-hour delay, kind of messy, off routine kind of morning again. It is kind of tough to get back into routine. Managing winter weather, snow days, kids here, kids not here, all that little stuff that you're used to just working like normal, it still doesn't quite feel normal yet. Maybe that's the same for you. It doesn't help when school can't get back into routine because the weather doesn't allow it. I know many of you and many of friends and family have dealt with Christmas flu and cold and just aren't feeling their best. But I want to give you a word of comfort or compliment for where you are right now. If you didn't work so hard before any of those things happened, you would be in a far worse place than you are right now. You know, if you didn't work so hard into that moment in time, this minor little trip up would be a significant setback. So many other people who don't have consistent routines, schedules, manage their money, and work hard, when a little thing goes wrong, it becomes major. You've seen it in other people, right? Like, that's the reason that they're that far behind. It's because they didn't have a strong enough structure from the very beginning. Be proud of where you are and how hard you work so that even when little things like that go wrong, you're still able to continue to keep going. Keep pushing, keep selling, keep sticking to the basics like we're going to talk about all month. Knowing, most importantly, that when you do the small things correctly, the big things come into play and are absolutely possible. Today, like I had said a few moments ago, before we get into Adam's featured segment, I'm going to leave you with a few practical tips on what to do with your weekend. How to stay practical in January is an important theme to me. I think it's an incredibly important theme to you guys. And I'm going to give you practical advice on what to do on Saturday and Sunday besides the rest of the week. Ready for it? Number one, block out, and actually, real quick for a second, if you are in insurance, life, and everything in between, and you saw a post from Jordan Cantwell, if you guys are on the call and you're not in that group, I don't know why not. He actually broke down how he wrote over 500,000 in a year. And a lot of the things that I do, he did, and is the perfect example of success leaving clues. Compliments to Jordan on a successful year. A lot of the things I'm talking about here, he does there as well, and are really important tips for practical personal producers. Number one, during your Saturday or Sunday or both, block out 60 to 90 minutes of appointment setting for yourself. If you're not outsourcing that task to somebody else, you need to do it. This is 2025. And if you want to effectively write enough business to stay in the business, door knocking for 5 days straight isn't it anymore, especially in the winter, especially when it gets dark sooner and the roads suck and you're getting older and the kids are getting busier. That methodology doesn't work anymore. If you're not using an appointment setter, either in-house or from somebody else, you're the appointment setter. And the first practical thing that you can do tomorrow morning or Sunday afternoon or both is block out 60 to 90 minutes to set up your Monday. You cannot have a successful week as a personal producer if you instantly start your week by flushing Monday down the toilet. Take 60 to 90 minutes on a Saturday or a Sunday or both. Get your leads in order, get a script, and I don't even care what you say, and set up appointments on Monday on the hour every single hour. If money is an issue, if there are not enough overrides, renewals, residual income to keep you afloat, then you need to keep yourself in the field on a Monday. You can hire an appointment setter. We've got several well-trained that can do it for you, but if you can't, you need to do it yourself. Practical tip number 2 for your weekend is get your leads in order. This is incredibly simple. If you're missing this message right now, that's the reason why you may not have the money that you need to have. Get your leads in order. You should have 20 to 40 fresh leads as a face-to-face producer that you have prepared to just absolutely work the heck out of on the weekend. If you're selling over the phone, you need to have 60, 70, 80, 100 leads for the week, live transfers, Facebook and such, to have a successful telesales week. With my partnership with Insurance Toolkit, I get to hear a lot of questions from a lot of people out there in the industry. And I see a lot of telesales producers complaining, oh, these leads were no good. I didn't give enough presentations or make enough money. How many leads did you purchase? 20. How are you selling? Over the phone? Not enough. On Saturday or Sunday or a combination of the both, you need to get your leads in order so you know who you are going to attack with full force over the course of that week. You can have a set of backup leads of people you didn't see this week or the week before. And until you've knocked that lead, sat an appointment, sent a text, left a voicemail, and really worked that lead into oblivion, once you've done that, remove it from rotation. But until then, keep those organized. Are you like Aaron and you've got a ton of referral opportunities? Why aren't you contacting them on Saturday to set them up for Monday as well? What is the point of a referral if you get it and you never call it? So make sure you're taking the time to organize your referrals as well. Number 3, get your books in order. No, I don't mean books that you read. You should be reading books. I mean your financials. I know it's a daunting task and I know nobody wants to look, but you have to. You have to look at your books if you think you're actually running a business. And if you're not, this is simply a hobby. And be honest with yourself. If it's a hobby, it's a hobby. I don't know why you're here and doing this then, because we take what we do very seriously. If you're running a business, and I think you are, if you're here with me today, you need to take time on Saturday to get your books in order. How much money did I spend? How much money did I take in? Are all my finances in order? And what can I do to make nominal improvements from one week to the next? Create that as part of your habit and your practical applications for a Saturday morning. Number 4, you know this one, track your pending business. There shouldn't be much pending business. Let's be honest. Again, it's 2025, not 2016. You shouldn't need a ton of office time and admin work. You should be using instant decision carriers that give you an answer and give you money very quickly. But you should still, make sure that the application you wrote on Monday was deposited into your bank account. And once it is, you've organized it properly on your CRM. Track your pending business to make sure you are getting paid. And if you need help, we have access to financial teams, tracking. I have business submit reports from every single person in our agency throughout the course of the week. You can compare my numbers to your numbers to make sure it's there. Number 5, this is a practical tip that shouldn't take so long. Clean up your work areas. I know we talked about this at the end of last year, but as you're getting organized every weekend, this doesn't take that long if you do it on a regular basis. Check your office. Do you have enough printer ink, pens, chargers, all the things that make your operation work? You shouldn't have to be taking time away on a Wednesday because you needed something you could have ordered on a Saturday. Clean up your office, your car, your work areas, and make sure that you're fully prepared to pick up your belongings and go to work on Monday. One of the reasons you may not be achieving what you want to achieve out of the course of a week is you might be starting your week from behind. So clean out everything that you need to make sure you have everything you need to be successful. I know it sounds simple, but the simple things are what make the big things possible. Number 6, if you looked at your bank account right now and your bank account said back to you, like we talk about on the holidays all the time, this isn't good. We don't have enough of this in here to make it to there. Then instead of getting organized and preparing on Saturday, you need to be producing. I know it's not any fun, but guess what? It can be fun. A lot of the people you couldn't find during the week, you are going to find on a Saturday. A lot of the people that didn't pick up the phone will pick up the phone. A lot of the people that have family will have family there. If you don't have enough money in your bank account and you are nervous about your finances, easiest solution, go out and work overtime on Saturday. If you have fallen short on your goal, you said, I'm going to write $3,500 a week and you didn't, time to work a little bit of overtime and catch up. Once you have caught up, you can absolutely take all the Saturdays you want in your life, but you have to make short-term sacrifices to get the long-term gain. And this Saturday might be the first short-term sacrifice that you need to make. Lastly, on my list of how to get organized, how to get practical, how to take full advantage of your weekend is once step 1 through 6 are complete, put it all away and enjoy the world around you. You know, our Facebook group and our YouTube channel are called Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between because there is an everything in between. Our agency specializes and believes that this isn't just some kind of hustle culture that you're going to work until you burn out and that's the end of the story. We don't believe in that. We believe in the fact that you're doing this for a purpose. You're doing this for a bigger why. You have a world around you that you intend to live in. And once you've done your organizational purposes for the weekend, close the door mentally on your office and live the world around you. So real quick, as we transition in just a moment to hear about some of Adam's success this week, and then we'll go live across social media and hang up on Free Conference Call HD. Number 1, block out time to set appointments or outsource the appointment setting task. One way or the other, you need to have a full Monday as a personal producer. Number 2, get your leads in order. What are my fresh leads that I've spent my money on that I'm going to recoup my money on? What are my backup leads that I didn't quite get in contact? What are my referrals that I can go back and see? 3, do your financials. Make sure your books are in order, your bank account is checked, all that income stuff is handled. Number 4, track your pending business. If you're not tracking it, how do you know if it got paid? 5, clean and organize the areas in which you work so you can simply go to work on Monday morning. 6, If you know you need to, then you need to go out and work on Saturday. If the money isn't there, if the goal wasn't hit, then get yourself into the field. Once you've gotten yourself where you want to be, enjoy Saturday in a different way. And then number 7, once all these things are done, put work away, close the door either really or mentally, and enjoy the world around you. Adam, I see that you're here and you're there, which is awesome. And we're going to take the next 10 minutes, turn the mic over to you, and have you share with the group some of the success, struggle, or anything in between that you took away from your first full week of 2025.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chris. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Hope y'all had a great week. Today, we're going to be kind of going through part 2, I guess you could say, of what we went through last week. Last week, we were just kind of talking about preparing to win and really what that means. And last week, we talked a lot about winning habits. And if you did not see or watch or listen to our podcast from last week, I definitely recommend to find it and listen to it. If I haven't posted it yet, I will. More than likely at some point next week. But yeah, this is kind of part 2 of what we talked about last week. I can go through my week first a little bit and talk a little bit about how my week went, first full week of the year. And then we can just, from there, we can kind of transition into talking about having that winning mindset. Honestly, it was a pretty easy week, in my opinion. I mean, I had leads, I had some appointments, I went out and worked them and did pretty well. But I mean, some of the business that I wrote wasn't off of appointments. It was actually off of just door knocking leads. And so the first sale I made this week was on Tuesday morning. This was a lead that I had met with. I didn't meet with. It was a lead that I had tried calling. The address that was on the lead was an apartment building that there was actually a fire in about, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago now. And the building had been closed down for a while. So I remember when I had called the guy, I was calling to see if he was still there or if he had moved, because they were not letting anybody into that building for a while. And one of my clients even called me because the building had 2 wings. My other client, the wing she was on was fine, but the one where this lead was at, they had to evacuate it. So I had just been trying to get a hold of this guy. And anyways, I was able to get a hold of the guy like right before the new year. I pretty much just told him what it was about, that he had sent this card in, and this was over the phone. I just tried calling the guy because I couldn't reach him because he wasn't at that apartment that had evacuated. And so anyways, he's like, just get a hold of me after the new year. And I said, all right, well, what's your new address? And that way, I can at least work on getting some information over to you. And he gave me his address, and then I put that into my route on Tuesday morning. I had a little bit of time before some appointments, so I just put that into my route. And it was so funny because, I mean, it was probably a good 2 weeks ago when I had talked to the guy on the phone. I go up to the door of this apartment and I knock, and he opens the door. He goes, "Oh, let me guess, you're Adam." I'm like, how the heck could this guy remember my name from a phone conversation that we had, a 2-minute phone conversation we had 2 weeks ago? But anyways, it was just pretty cool to see, this guy remembered that conversation. And I walked in kind of feeling like, man, this is probably going to be a slam dunk. I think for sure I'll get this one. And I think I ended up writing them. It was like $800 annualized premium, pretty decent sale. And then that was pretty much it for Tuesday. I had the one sale. Wednesday was a pretty good day. Wednesday, it was actually a follow-up, same thing. It's so funny. I talk a lot about how we don't get a lot of business through follow-up, where it just doesn't happen very often, where we can sit with somebody, and it's almost like if you don't write that piece of business, the time that you're there, that first time, there's a real good chance you're never going to see that person ever again. But whenever I'm in an area and I have a little bit of time to kill, I'll still drop in on the people. Like, this was a lead I probably met with 2 or 3 times, and just the guy just kept putting it off and putting it off. His daughter was involved, and anyways, I went back and I door knocked that lead again last week, and when
I don't know if it's just me or if it's just Adam, but we have a quick technical difficulty here. Let's
Uh-oh.
just check real quick, make sure everybody can hear everybody. Okay,
Can
I can see
everybody
him. He's
hear me?
moving. We're good. You're good.
Okay.
I apologize. You're good.
Yeah, no, it looked like I had a slow internet issue there for a minute. So, but yeah, but anyways, got the daughter on the phone while I was there. This was before the new year. And she said, yeah, we're just still kind of weighing our options and this and that. And I said, well, just remember a lot of these different things you find out there, because I know your father's health isn't the greatest. There's a real good chance that majority of the companies out there are not going to cover him right away. So that's why I like to come out and go through this and do what we can to get him covered right away. And so anyways, it got her kind of back in that mindset of, well, we got to do something. This guy still doesn't have any life insurance. I think she started looking around a little bit, and that's what they were running into, was 2-year waiting periods. And so anyways, she ends up calling me. She says, hey, Adam, I'm going to be over at my dad's house on Wednesday. Can you come by? We want to get that insurance done. I said, sure. So right there, I mean, I think it's just a matter of sometimes needing to be persistent and not giving up on the leads. Like I said, a lot of times follow-ups you're not going to get anywhere with. But if I'm in an area and I have a little bit of time to kill and I'm over that way anyways, why not drop in on the person? And that's what I did. And right there, I mean, it was like around $1,200 annualized premium that I would not have written had I not continued with following up on that lead. And that was a lead that was probably like for maybe June or July. So like I said, I had tried time and time again. I remember back in September, he was just about ready to get going with the policy. And then he got a tax bill where his taxes were going up, and then he wasn't going to be able to fit it in his budget. And just like I said, one excuse after another. And he even had a birthday since then. Like, I even warned him then, like, your rates are going to be going up after you have a birthday. What if your health changes? Fortunately, I was still able to get him covered. And then let's see what else. Oh yeah. And then the same day on Wednesday, I was door knocking leads. So not an appointment, but just a door knock, and got in the house. It was a husband and wife, and this lady had tons of policies. And so I knew it was going to kind of be a long process. And that was actually prior to the other one that I wrote. And I was sitting with them, and I'm like, man, there's no way I'm going to get to that other appointment on time. I know that one's going to be a slam dunk. These people, I knew they were serious about doing something with me too, but they needed to round up their policies, because like they had a bunch. She mentioned she had like a Primerica policy that her son had actually written on her like 5 years ago. The guy's not even in business anymore. That's kind of a trend with a lot of the Primerica. It's like a lot of these guys, they get going in the business. A lot of people get in the business, I think, through referrals and stuff, and they don't really do it full time. But with that, what I found is that a lot of those agents, they don't know even what they're selling. They don't know that they're selling a term policy. They think that they're selling a whole life, or maybe they just say anything to make a sale. I don't know. I don't think he would have done that to his mom. But I told her, I said, I don't know of one Primerica policy that's a whole life. They're all term policies. And as you get older, those rates are going to continue to go up. And she's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's a whole life policy. And I pulled out, and for those of you who want it, I can send you it. I put together, we've talked about it in the past. It's a document I put together just talking about knowing your competition. And I have some sample policies in there, and I pulled that out. And I showed her, I said, this is a sample of a Primerica policy. And it shows you here, once that term period ends, you can continue with the policy, but your premium is going to drastically go up. And I showed her, like the example that I showed her, it went up like 3 times, and then it went up again, like doubled, to the point where initially paying $100 a month up until like $800 a month at a certain age. And I told her, I said, these are the sort of plans where these companies are banking on the fact that you're going to cancel at some point because they know that you're not going to be able to afford to keep it. And that's how they profit. So you want something that's whole life that you know you're going to be covered with forever. But anyways, I told her, I said, round up your policies. I could come back this afternoon about 4:00 and we can go through it. I can figure out maybe something that might be a better idea for you. So when I went back, she pulled out her Primerica policy. She found it. And I showed her it was a 15-year term. And I mean, right now, I think she still had 9 years left on that term policy. But I showed her, like, once you turn 70 something years old, your premium is going to be like tripling. It's going to be going from $100 a month to like $320 a month for the same amount of coverage. And then I showed her, I mean, they break it down every single year. That premium was going to keep going up. And, you know, and I told her what I just said about how the fact that they almost want you to cancel it. They don't want you to keep it. And that's how they're making their money. And so anyways, I ended up writing her a $30,000 whole life policy. So $20,000 less than what she had. She had a $50,000 term. I wrote her the $30,000 whole life, and it was like $105 a month, something like that. Really good rate. She was 64 years old. I'll be going back to write her Medicare in a few months. She'll be turning 65 in July. So yeah, I was messaging Chris yesterday about that because I'm fairly new to Medicare and just trying to get a little refresher as far as how that works when we can write a new policy or when we can write somebody into Medicare when they're turning 65. So like he mentioned, maybe you could even give a little bit of clarification on that real quick, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick, and then we're going to transition in just a moment from free conference call HD to exclusively social media. When it comes to Medicare this time of year, we're in the open enrollment season. And if you're on the conference call, you've heard this 5 times already. It's okay. Hear it one more time from me. It's OEP. If they've made a plan change during AEP, you can simply select the OEP SEP and effect a plan change just as successfully. The amount of business you wrote in AEP should probably be equivalent during OEP. There's no Thanksgiving. There's no Christmas. There's no kids' concerts. You've got 3 full months to really do exactly what you just did this month, utilizing the OEP plan code. If that isn't available, there's a disaster SEP that is still available until April in pretty much the whole country. Pretty much the whole country is a disaster in one way or the other. And there is a Medicare enrollment period you could use with a DST. That's number 2. Number 3, many of the people we encounter in final expense are dual eligible and can likely use a dual eligible plan code to elect in a new plan. Number 4, they're new to Medicare or never did anything. Easy. You don't need an SEP for that. They never got anything. And number 5, if you really at that point of 1, 2, 3, and 4 don't know what to do, like Adam did, reach out and we'll talk it through together. There is no reason why during OEP, you're not going to put just as much business on the books as you did during the annual enrollment period. We're going to hang up on Free Conference Call HD. We're going to go exclusively on social media from now until about 10 or 10:15 Eastern, discuss the rest of Adam's week, and discuss a winning mindset, as that is such a key part of being a successful personal producer, agency owner, and business owner in this business. Adam, back to you.
All right. So, yeah, like I mentioned, I'll be going back to do the Medicare business with her. You know, they really liked me after sitting down, and she knew that. I mean, heck, I told her, I said, look, I just saved you thousands of dollars because if I had not come by today, you would continue to be paying that $100 a month for the next 9 years. I mean, heck, that's a lot of money. We're talking about over $10,000 I'm saving this person because she's going from a term that's going to expire. What if her health had changed? What if that term would have been expiring? Her thinking that she has a whole life policy and it's a term. She finds out that rate's going up. She can't afford to keep it. And at the time that happens, her health isn't great and she can't get anything. So yeah, I told her, I said, you know, I'm just glad I came by to put you in something that makes more sense for what you're looking for what you need. You want something that's permanent. And at least, you know, that's what this is. And she had actually just left her employment too, retired, and she lost her life insurance got greatly reduced through that too. Same thing. She like kind of wasn't unaware about that. She already kind of had a bad taste in her mouth about these term policies. So I'm sure she's going to let her son hear about it because she'd already been paying into the thing for 5 years, not realizing that it was a term policy. But anyways, just was glad to be able to help her. And then I also wrote her daughter as well. Her daughter was there, 22 years old. She was, I forget, she had a health issue, spina bifida. Uh, so I don't know if it's considered like a mental illness or anyway, she was like special needs, but she was still able to operate. I mean, she was still able to work. She actually worked at Walmart. So I mean, and they're the company that I wrote it with, the question on the app, it basically just said, are you able to handle your own business or whatever? Or even if you're special needs, are you still able to handle making decisions and things like that? And anyways, yeah, was able to get her covered as well. So, and then Wednesday night, I got a phone call. It was a local number. I decided to pick it up, and it was one of my clients calling me that I wrote a policy on about a year and a half ago. And she said, Adam, I keep getting these text messages from you. It was actually our appointment setting service that they send out text messages to leads. They send text messages out to my clients if they have my client's information that I provided them. And so she said, I texted them that I could meet you at noon tomorrow, but you never responded. So I just thought I'd try calling you. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, why our appointment setters hadn't responded, but I told her, well, actually noon wouldn't work for me, but I could meet up with you about 10 o'clock in the morning. So ended up meeting up with her yesterday morning and just added on. She already had a policy with me with American Amicable for 10,000. I wrote her another 5,000, and it was only like a little under 300 annualized in premium. So it wasn't anything to get too excited about, but something's better than nothing. And then after that, I had another appointment where they had plenty of life insurance. I don't know why. Sometimes you just wonder why people fill these things out. I mean, it was the lead card specifically says final expense life insurance plan right on it, but they fill it out. I don't know why she filled it out. She's got plenty of insurance. Didn't really want to go anywhere with that, but ended up writing her a new Medicare policy. She had something with, I think, Humana. I switched her over to Zing and was able to get her more money as far as like that monthly allowance is concerned because she was diabetic. And so she was happy. I think I was able to get her like $180 a month to put towards groceries and that monthly allowance or whatever. So she was happy about that. And that was pretty much it for yesterday. The rest of the day was a wash. I drove an hour out of my way to get a door slammed in my face by a mean lady.
And mean ladies will get you.
Yeah. But, I still kind of, I sent Chris a text. I still kind of got the last word out of it. So
it made you feel better.
Yeah. I do stuff to make myself feel better, to continue to be able to move on for the rest of my day.
Well, I want to real quickly ask before we get into 30 minutes on mindset, because we're going to look up, guys, to wrap up right between 10 and 10:15 so I can get my son on the bus and he doesn't just stand there watching it drive by. That would be a horrible moment of parenting. Adam, during the 2-week Christmas-ish period, you were out there in the field writing business, knocking doors, sitting with clients and making money. Are there any words of advice or words of reflection or thoughts from that 2-week period that might be beneficial to those watching?
Well, I think that kind of goes right into our topic for today, Chris, is mindset. I didn't sit around thinking about the fact that it was the end of the year and that no one was going to want to see me. I treated it just like any other day. Any day I was out in the field, I treat the same way. So no effect. I mean, I think last week I still wrote 4,000 or 5,000 in premium. Maybe more. I can't remember. Lose track sometimes. But I mean, I don't feel like I slowed down at the end of the year. I just kept going. If anything, I had to rearrange my schedule a little bit because of how the holidays fell with New Year's, Christmas Eve was on a Tuesday. Christmas Day was a Wednesday. New Year's Eve was on a Tuesday and New Year's Day, Wednesday. So I rearranged my schedule a little bit, but I worked Monday of those weeks. I worked Friday of those weeks. I worked a little bit on the Saturdays. So I figured out ways to still be able to get done what I need to do. And because I'm usually out 3 days a week, so I still figured out how to get my 3 days in. And I would say the one thing, I didn't have many appointments set at all. So those were weeks where definitely people were using those excuses of, well, just call us after the holidays. The appointment setters I know had still tried calling to set the appointments. They just weren't having a lot of success. Went out and door knocked the leads, and people fill the thing out for a reason. You just kind of have to have that mindset. There's a reason that they sent this thing in. I'm supposed to be here, and you just kind of have to have that mindset going into it.
Yeah, I was talking to Dean online, big producer with FFL in Virginia, who still sells face to face, and he's like, "It's why don't we? Like, it's just not to hate on anyone that sells over the phone, but it's almost like an open playing field right now because so many people sell over the phone to just simply take the lead, go to the door, and write the business. You know, Adam, I'm looking at the calendar. 11 and a half months from now, Christmas and Christmas Eve, New Year's and New Year's Eve are Wednesdays and Thursdays this year. It isn't any more convenient. It isn't going to be convenient until like 26, maybe 2027. So what we dealt with 2 weeks ago, we need to get used to being part of the end of the year for another 2 years. So I like the fact that you didn't let that get in the way and showed others around you that there was still plenty of time and opportunity to make money.
Well, I mean, you can always come up with reasons why you can't be working.
Always.
I don't, I come up with reasons why I need to be out working and just figure out ways to, like I said, to just kind of rearrange the schedule if I need to. And that's what I did. I usually, Mondays and Fridays are usually my office days, and where I'm just kind of working on keeping up with business, working with agents and things like that. But just had to rearrange some things a little bit. Still wanted to get out and make some money. I lost a lot of money by losing my renewals with that one carrier, but just had to figure out ways to make up for it. So got to work a little bit more. That's all I got to do. Fortunately, the Medicare business helped too. That was the last 2 weeks I've gotten a couple pretty decent deposits from the Medicare business that I wrote during open enrollment. So that definitely was a little bit of a lifesaver too, getting some pretty decent deposits there, making up for some of the money that I'm losing from the carrier that decided to take away my renewals for no reason. So, anyways, and again, talking about having a winning mindset, that's kind of what our topic is going to be today. And you just can't let stuff get to you. You just kind of have to move forward and don't let it ruin your day. I know, Chris, I know you're not real big into football, but I mean, just that, some of you might've watched that game last night. I'm a big Notre Dame fan. My brother-in-law graduated with a doctorate from Notre Dame. He's like a rocket scientist, literally. But anyways, so, big Notre Dame fan. I couldn't wait to watch that game last night. And just, I don't know, football reminds me a lot of just even regular life with the way the game went. Notre Dame, they were down 10-3 at halftime. They were so flat the first half that I just know that that coach, he said something to these players in the locker room where they just came out. They looked like a totally different team the second half. But also their coach is a leader. I could just kind of see the way he acted around his players. There was a penalty in that game that I guess you could say was maybe kind of controversial. It was a pass interference penalty in the end zone where, like, the next play, Penn State ended up scoring a touchdown. And so many times a controversial call, you'll see a coach on the sidelines where they are just upset and yelling and screaming and just chewing out the ref. And I think when coaches act like that, that sort of thing, the players see that, and then the players, they get all up in the air, they get all anxious, they get all upset. And so this penalty that some people may say was controversial. After watching, I understand why it was a pass interference penalty, but the coach at the time, in real time, it looked like it was a bad call. And he's on the sideline smiling and laughing and like joking around with the ref. Like, I'm sure inside he was pissed. And because it was a huge play in the game. It put Penn State up by a touchdown. They were up 24-17. But I think he just didn't want his players to see his true feelings. And because he knew that it would rub off on them. And even in our business, I think about that. You think about, like, things that happen, and sometimes there's things that happen, and I mean, if sometimes I think people maybe share too much with their agents, where and just little things can rub off on them, and things can go negative pretty quickly. But same thing, like I said, with that game last night, I think it could have went a different way if he would have reacted differently to that penalty, the way most coaches I think would have reacted. It could have been a totally different outcome in that game. But he kept his players relaxed, didn't let it get to him. It didn't let it get to the players, and they ended up turning around and winning that game with a field goal with just a little bit of time left on the clock. So, awesome game. But like I said, just kind of relating that back to our life and our business. I mean, I think it just shows, true leaders. They know how to keep their people in the right mindset, even under tough circumstances.
I'll give a shout out to Ben Bowman in that situation. I remember in early COVID where states were getting shut down, where they were getting close to selling their business to private equity, where like the whole industry was on its ass. His mindset was, we're still going to have calls. We're still going to buy leads. We're still going to go out and produce. You might have to bring a folding chair with you. You might have to call them from your car. You might have to sell them over the phone. You might not make as much money as you're used to making, but right now, just make enough money to pay your bills. Make enough money to pay your bills. Wake up, do it again. And this will eventually blow over. But I'm sure there were plenty of other leaders across the industry at that moment where like, let's just shut this shit down. It's over. We'll come back in a month or two. And then they came back and there was nothing left. And just, I think it's so important in a leadership mindset, as we talk about mindset, is to not to panic. Like, there are going to be ebbs and flows to the business. There is going to be roll up. There are going to be people that quit, people that come, people that go, people that commit fraud, people that do great things, people that contribute, but you just got to keep an even keeled approach and recognize that people choose to work with others because they're even keeled about it. And if the leader is on his ass, then the agent is going to be doubly messed up. And they look up to leaders around them for stability in the midst of good days and bad days.
Yeah. I mean, I think if a leader is showing signs of unsurety, it's definitely going to affect those around them. It's going to affect the agents. Then the agents are going to be even more unsure about, what's lying ahead and things like that. So yeah, I mean, definitely, just like I said, same thing with that game. It just, signs of a true leader when they don't show their true emotions in some circumstances like he didn't. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure he was pretty upset, but did what he could to kind of keep his guys relaxed and cool, and doing what they could to keep in the right mindset to win that game. So
yeah, I also realized too, an important leadership lesson is thou shalt not complain down hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot complain downwind, because people believe in the corporate world that shit rolls downhill anyway. You can't be that way. Like, you cannot complain about what you're dealing with to somebody below you in a hierarchy. They're not below you in a worldly sense, but just not what they signed up for. Find somebody else above you to complain to. Stop complaining. A lot of times complaints are just simply problems that you refuse to look at solutions over. You're talking about having a forward-looking vision. Part of what I'm excited about us doing this year is doing more in building, like targeting more agencies and not just agents. Like, we're going to work with any agent we want. But there is plenty of mid-level agencies that could really benefit from this kind of forward-facing training, this kind of carrier relationships, lead resources, CRMs that are being built out, connections with partners throughout the industry, a Medicare mindset. Like, the Medicare thing to you right now might just seem like a great thing, but before you know it, it's going to start depositing money into your bank account in a way that carriers that took it away from you, it's going to be so much different. And it's not going to show up next week or next month. But one day you're going to look back and say, dang, I remember when that carrier took away my renewals, and I can feel now how I built it all back in a different form of distribution. And it feels so much more satisfying to take something back someone took from you.
Most definitely. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just pull up where we left off from last week here, Chris, on the little presentation, talking about a winning mindset. Like I said, last week, we talked about winning habits to kind of get your year off on the right foot. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about winning mindset. So what does it mean to have a winning mindset? Having a positive, proactive, and resilient attitude towards challenges, focusing on solutions rather than the problems, embracing challenges as opportunities for growth, and learning from failures and use them as stepping stones towards success. And let's see, understanding that setbacks are natural and part of the journey, and having the confidence in knowing that you are going to win. It's just a matter of when. One word, Chris, that you used about, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 times in the beginning of our phone call this morning was believe. You have to believe that you're going to win. And I think that is a big part of it too. You got to have that mindset, going in, you're going to win, but you got to believe it. And so, kind of going through these, positive, proactive, resilient, focusing on the solutions rather than the problems. I'm all about, having that positive mindset. And if all you're focusing in is on the problems, all that's going to happen is more problems are going to be heading your way. We talk about like the law of attraction. I know we talked a little bit about that with John Kite in one of our previous podcasts. Another one, definitely recommend you guys go back and watch. But we talked a lot about the law of attraction, and like when things are going bad and all you do is continue to think about how bad things are, things continue to get worse. And that's where you need to kind of move into a kind of transition that into focusing on solutions rather than just focusing on the problems, because the more you think about the problems, the more problems that are going to arise. Focus on solutions and what you can do to kind of get out of where you're at. And I'm sure we've all been there. I know we've all been there in different situations, whether it's business or life, but you got to focus on the solutions. And again, remember, like John said in our interview, he said, I act as though I have already experienced the success that I'm wanting to achieve in the future. Like that's kind of like the mindset he has. Maybe he hasn't gotten exactly where he wants to get yet, but he acts as though he already has. And by that, it's helping him to get further along faster. Embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. Same thing. Different challenges. Like I said, I lost a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of renewal money. To me, that's a challenge. I'm not going to let that put me out of business. I'm going to use that as, fuel to just get out there and push harder and work even a little bit more to make up for it. Like I said, heck, even just that Medicare alone has helped with making up some of that money, and just learning from the failures and like I said, but not dwelling on that stuff, just kind of moving forward and not thinking as much about the past and focusing more on the future. And maybe you want to add a little bit here, Chris, real quick.
Yeah, I just think that it's important because we can imagine the people all the time in our lives or people we've experienced who are no longer in our lives, hopefully. But you think to yourself, everything went wrong for them. Like, how does all these bad things happen to them? They've manifested it. Like they've created it. They've attracted it. They believe that that is their story and that's all that's going to ever happen to them. And that's why bad things continue to happen to them. Don't let it be that person. Like, don't let you be that person. We talked about in the practical tips this morning, Saturday can be an amazing preparation day, but if you open your bank account right now and you don't have enough money to make it into next week or next month, it's not preparation time, it's producing time. It's a short-term sacrifice to achieve a long-term game. Adam, I remember years and years ago going out on Saturdays with a stack full of policies to deliver because the agency I worked with at the time said, you deliver all your policies. And I did what I was told. And I said, if these people are making money, I want to make money. I'm going to do what they're doing. And I'm going to go out and deliver these policies. And I'm like, but I also want to make money. Like I'm away from my family. This isn't exactly tons of fun. I found ways to turn every policy delivery into an upsell opportunity. So why am I saying that to you guys is that if you are looking at your account right now and it's not looking back at you in a very positive light, then Saturday is not is a producing kind of day. And there's no shame in that. Sunday can be a beautiful rest day, a preparation day, and time with your family. But you're in business for yourself. There are not a lot of small business owners in America they can kick their feet up and sit back and watch 3 and 4 days of their life pass by without putting energy back into their business.
Yeah, another thing too, Chris, talking about money. There's so many ups and downs in our business. And when we hit those highs and you have a good week, a whole bunch of money coming in, you gotta kind of have to stay in that winning mindset, and you got to focus on continuing to move forward and grow. You can't get comfortable. You also can't shift that focus to, what if I lose this money? What if I have a bad week and all of a sudden the money that is here is gone because I had to use it for other things. You just got to have to continue that focus on growing and getting better, and don't focus on losing. You just can't. You can't focus on losing. You can't focus on what ifs. You got to continue to move forward.
Yeah, I think it's also important as we talk about January in general, and the way we opened up the Tuesday call was just simply asking people what are their goals for the month. Because if you can achieve your January goal, then your 2025 goal is going to be achievable. If you can't achieve your January goal, then that other thing is never going to happen. If you can achieve your January goal, then you're going to achieve your February goal, and so on and so forth. But I think for those watching now or in the future, focus on winning today, this week, and this month, and all the other pieces are going to continue to fall in place. You might have been in a really, really, really bad situation right now, and you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to get out of it. Well, you're going to get out of it 1 hour at a time, and then 1 day at a time, and then 1 month at a time. So the same way you want to tackle your goals in bite-sized pieces, dig your way out of a hole in that same manner.
So what holds some people back from having a winning mindset? And I think the biggest one is just having that fear of failure. Anxiety about not meeting expectations, making mistakes, or falling short of your goals. And again, that's, right there, that's a losing mindset. When you're focusing on these sort of things, not meeting expectations, making mistakes, falling short of your goals, just the fear of failure alone. These are the sort of thoughts in your mind that will continue to compound. And the more you think about it, the worse things are going to get. What's the root cause? Sometimes it's childhood experiences, expectations of society, and maybe personal perfectionism. I think a lot of it is, how we grow up, maybe. I think a lot of who we are is instilled in us at a young age. But I think there are ways to overcome those sort of things too. I mean, I know people that have come from nothing that have succeeded and become the most successful people in the world. And so you can't let, I guess, who you were in the past define who you will be in the future. But I think there are a lot of people out there who do dwell on their past experiences. You talked a little bit about that earlier, Chris, where they focus way too much on the fact that they've never been able to make it to like the next level, or anywhere they go, everybody's always out to get them. Doesn't matter where they go, everybody's out to get them. They're, everybody that works with them is dishonest. They right away, they set them up to fail. Same thing. I mean, that's just having that losing mentality.
Yeah, it's not anybody else's fault. As a personal producer, your upline should provide to you, and this is a good word of advice, because if you're not receiving this, you need to shop around, a good quality lead program that works on a regular basis. And when it doesn't, they've got a solid backup plan. Your upline, mentor, agency owner should be providing you competitive resources and carriers to sell, so that, Adam, a side point for a second.
Yeah.
Nina Neeson yesterday woke up to her entire agency being taken away from her overnight by Lincoln Heritage. A $500,000 a month agency owner,
wow,
who had built a massive telesales agency, a brand across social media, probably a pretty honest person, never met her in person. The entire thing got shut down overnight by Lincoln Heritage. That's a setback. Like,
yeah,
unless you've had a $500,000 a month agency taken away from you overnight, It's not, you don't have it that bad. Go up and go to work today. And if you're in that position, I'm sure she's going to take a week or two of reflection and then get back at it under a new umbrella. But we all face adversity in this world. And sometimes the
Yeah.
more successful you are, the bigger the adversity is. Maybe people have never had a mortgage payment of renewals taken away from them because they were never as successful as you were at that carrier. But the bigger you get, the bigger the kick in the pants gets. So I think having a little bit of perspective is okay too.
Yeah, boy, it's amazing. You think you got it bad until you hear something like that.
Yeah, that's just
And I mean, God,
wild.
500,000. I mean, right
A
there,
month.
I bet 500,000. I bet right there, she's probably making or was making at least 50 grand a month in overrides.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely. But
talk about a loss of income there.
yeah, Dana, we relate to you. We feel bad. We don't relate to you. I've never had that happen to me. We empathize with you, and we know that the world will put you in a better track for that issue in as well. But yeah, I mean, winning a mindset is knowing that if it's happened to you, you can overcome it because you've overcome other things before, and I think that's important as well.
Yeah, that's it. You are you are the one in control of your destiny. Don't let yeah, there's going to be obstacles. We've all experienced it. I was with a company for 7.5 years. I thought for a while I was going to retire there. Kind of saw the direction they were heading and just decided, you know what, I'm better off on my own. But sometimes we have to be willing to bet on ourselves too, and make those sort of decisions, even when majority of people out there think, man, he was set up pretty good. I'm surprised that he left. But you know what? I mean, like I said, I bet on myself, and I know moving forward in the future, it's going to be a good thing.
Because you could have just as easily in that position
Yeah.
any captive relationship for those watching had that entire thing taken away from you overnight. You chose to walk away to build your own business, but you could have built that company to $500,000 a month and then had that whole thing taken away overnight as well. So luckily you never had to live that experience.
Well, yeah. And you know what? Or I could have just continued to remain stagnant. And and not growing, and just getting making enough money to get by. But that's just not who I am. That's not what I wanted for the future. I don't want to just be doing just good enough to get by. I want to be doing a heck of a lot better than that.
Yeah.
So,
and the other way I look at it too is Kyrese is saying he feels bad for what happened to Dana. I feel bad for people on her team, people that wanted to come work with her for her and her system, and not necessarily the carrier, and the carrier took it all away from them. If you're in that position, don't give up. If you have a license and you've got a will to make money and change your future, just because Lincoln took it away from you, don't give up on it. There's still plenty of places to be. It's just we have it in the book Go for No. They talked a lot about being okay with failure because that's an opportunity to continue to grow. And having that mindset is important in the process of all the practical application of doing the job every day.
Yeah, the one thing, Chris, there's no carrier to me that's bigger than the agents that are doing that business.
Nope.
Like what that business would not have even shown up at Lincoln Heritage had it not been for this person. I don't even know her, but for this person putting in that hard work to build it, and to take it away, that's just like stealing from somebody.
Yeah,
they had nothing to do with it. Yeah, maybe they financed the leads. Whoop-de-doo. People, they're not paying for those leads. Someone's still paying for those leads.
Yeah, I think
either the agent or the manager. Yeah, for sure. So I don't know the whole story, but like I said, at the end of the day, the agent is the one that's putting in that hard work to bring that business to the carrier. Carriers need to be doing more to look out for their agents and show some appreciation for them, and maybe the agents then would be a little bit more loyal to them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we had a carrier call us on carrier partner, a VP of a company call on, I think it was 23rd or the 24th, and just say thank you for the business. And I actually felt a little bad because I didn't give them enough business, and they're still being that gracious and showing an effort and putting in a call. And it says a lot. I'm like, you know what? As soon as I'm back in the field, I'm going to give them more business because they're gracious and appreciative of the beginning of that relationship too.
Yeah, that's right there. you didn't feel like you did enough with them, but they were happy that you just did something with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe they are looking towards the future a little bit with that too, and improving a relationship. But yeah, same thing. They show that they care about their agents and they appreciate the business. Yeah, that a carrier like that is a carrier that's going to make me want to do more business with them.
Well said. We got
So
5 to 7 minutes to go
yeah,
before I
let
have
me
to go
try
to
to
the bus
cruise
stop.
through here. I'll
Let's
try to
cruise
cruise
through
through
mindset.
here. Yeah, and if you got to hop off, Chris, that's fine. But
Okay.
negative self-talk. Again, we're talking about what holds people back from that winning mindset. What we are thinking about. Negative self-talk. And I know I've talked about this before. We talk to ourselves more than anybody. And what I mean is that all of our thoughts, I mean, all day, all we're doing is thinking. We're basically talking to ourselves all day. And same thing, the more negative thoughts that are going through our mind, the more negative we're going to be, and the more we're going to set ourselves up to lose and not win. So, perfectionism, excellence is admirable. Perfectionism can be paralyzing. One thing, I think about that a lot too. And sometimes I feel like that's something that maybe has held me back a little bit from growing, is that I always want to make sure everything is just right. And like everything is just perfect. But you got to remember, I don't think anything out there is ever going to be just perfect. I bet the largest insurance agency out there will tell you that they don't even have it down just right. Like they wish they did, but there's still things that could be a little bit better. So we can't focus on that either. We can't focus on not getting started until everything is just perfect, because if that's the mindset that we have, we're never going to get started.
Yeah, I think if you're in an organization where they say they've got it all figured out, that probably is a red flag too, because nobody has it all figured out. Because if they think they have it all figured out, they've accepted their own corporate comfort zone. In that book, I remember now what I was going to say. In Go for No, it says that your comfort zone is not a static bubble that you can one day exit out of and say, I have left my comfort zone. The comfort zone grows and is like this amoebus kind of thing that you constantly have to be overcoming and growing past. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere. So if you're at a place that says they've got it all figured out and no one can do it better, that's just as much of a warning sign. So keep that in mind.
And let's see what else we got here. What kind of actions can we take to overcome the fear of failure, and to put ourselves into having that winning mindset? We talk a lot about this. I know we talked a lot about this last week as well. Setting goals this time of year, I think setting goals is very important, really throughout the whole year, but especially at the beginning, just kind of looking out to the whole year of kind of where we want to get and what we want to do. I always recommend to break large goals down into smaller goals that feel more achievable. Surround yourself with positive influences. I know we talked a little bit about this last week as well, Chris. I think a lot of the people, we are a lot about who we hang around with. And, if we're hanging around with a lot of negative people, we're probably not going to be the most positive people either. Or if we're hanging around with a bunch of people that are broke, we're probably going to be broke too. That's just the sort of thing, we need to focus on who we surround ourselves around. And, the more positive people that you're surrounded around, well, the more positive that's going to rub off on you as well. Visualize your success. This is kind of what we talked about a little bit with like that law of attraction. Visualize your success and mentality and rehearse achieving your goals. Kind of like what John was talking about on our podcast a few weeks back, Chris, just kind of focusing on like having that feeling as though you have already achieved those goals. Celebrate small victories along the way. And yeah, so, right there, same thing. The business can be tough. I always just continue to move forward. the good days, they make up for the bad. But yeah, celebrate the small victories. Even yesterday, I didn't do as much yesterday as the days prior, but heck, I still wrote I wrote one small app, and I wrote a Medicare piece of business right there. That, look at it as the glass half full. That Medicare piece of business, that's going to bring in, $25 a month, Chris, for a long time.
Very long
So
time. It stacks up. I have stuff from 2016, 2017, 2018 on Cigna that's stuck like glue, and it continues to stay. And that stuff, it's just an amazing opportunity. And it's an absolutely very small victory in a world of first-year commissions and large deposits. But the small victories of Medicare is what mentally boosts so many of our agents in a way that it's hard to describe.
yeah, it really is. Like I said, and it definitely, took me a while to finally just kind of say, all right, I just got to kind of get going with this thing. I like simple, I like easy. And my whole problem with Medicare was just the internal stuff, the work that was involved. Yeah, the work that was involved with finally being able to just even be appointed with one carrier. I mean, having to go through like the whole AHIP and all that stuff's a headache. I never liked taking tests. Like, I was not a real big fan of school. So, I mean, I never liked taking tests. So that AHIP to me was just a real pain. And then every single carrier you get appointed with, you got more tests you have to take. Like, honestly, that was really what held me back the most, was just all that busy work, in my opinion, is what it is, to be able to finally move forward with it. But I'm glad I finally just buckled down and said, you know what, I just got to work on getting this going. And I still only have a few carriers.
That's it.
But
That's all you need.
yeah, but you know what? I mean, I haven't written a ton, but I've written enough. Like I said, I've gotten a few pretty good deposits so far. And to me, that's motivating to really push forward and to really make Medicare another big part of my business moving forward. So then, and we're just about done here, Chris. And we, talking about the fear of failure, we cannot have the fear of failure. One thing we got to remember, kind of focusing on our business, we got to remember this is a lead driven business, and we have to get over the fact that we have to spend money for leads. One way or another, you're spending money for leads. Even if you are on a free lead program, you're spending money for leads. Might not feel like it, but you still are. You're taking a cut in your comp by someone else paying for those leads for you. But, just got to get over the fact that you got to spend money on leads. One thing I always think about, when people focus on the fear of spending money on leads and what happens if they don't write any business. Well, these lead vendors out there, they profit from agents that are ordering consistently on a regular basis. They're not making the big bucks from the agent who makes one lead order and never orders again.
No.
But would agents and agencies out there continue to order leads through the lead vendors if they weren't making any sales? And that answer would be no. They would not continue to place lead orders if they weren't making any sales. So, you got to get over the fact that you got to spend money on leads. It's just part of the business. And again, to me, that's your bet. That's your wager, is the amount of money that you're spending on leads. You could either, be out $700-800 for the week. You could break even and make a sale, or you could focus on doing more than that. But God, even if all you did was break even, I mean, heck, that's not a great week. But there's really not many weeks in over 22 years that I've been doing this, Chris, that I haven't made more than the money that I put into it. So that's why you got to get over the fact that you got to spend money on leads. It's just part of the business.
You're in a business. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't fear that you will fail on the leads. If you fear that you're going to fail on the leads, don't even go out and work them, because that's what's going to happen. That's going to be your result. A lead's nothing more than someone who's expressed some sort of interest. It's not a guaranteed sale. That's one thing too that I think has held a lot of agents back from consistently ordering leads. Oh, I went out there and God, nobody thought it was about insurance. All these people were slamming the door in my face. I only wrote 5 out of 20 leads, Chris.
Good, perfect. Do it again. Thank God you did it.
Yeah, but they're focusing on the people that they didn't write.
Good.
And
yes,
yeah,
get more of those no's. Get more of those no's.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, and the
Yeah,
good's going to make up for the bad.
Because you're not getting enough no's is the problem. Now, I remember a guy said to me, he was working the toolkit lead. They're not taking ownership over the hobby on the lead. I'm like, bro, what does that even mean? Were you face to face with somebody in your target demographic? Yes. Did you get into the home? No. That's your fault. It's not the lead's fault. That's on you. The lead put you in front of the human who expressed a modicum of interest in the product that you sell. The rest is on you.
They just wanted the Walmart card, Chris.
Okay, it comes with the policy.
You know,
I mean, inside or outside?
I'm right now. I'm working a direct mail lead. A lot of them, right on it says the free Walmart card. You want to know how many Walmart cards, Chris, I've handed out to people? Exactly.
You know what it also says on the bottom of the lead or on the back of it is you will be contacted by an agent with Loyal Marketing Group. You will be contacted by an agent. It's TCPA compliance. They cannot say on that lead piece they didn't know what was going to happen. It says it right, legally disclosed on the lead piece.
Yeah, I get I hand out gift cards when I get referrals. So if they ask me about the Walmart gift card, you know what I tell them? Well, give me 5 names of people that that could also use this, and here you go. I'll give you. I got a $25 gift card here.
There you go.
One thing I've been saying lately too is, well, I have an opening at 2:00 this afternoon, and I'll pull out the Walmart gift card. I got one right here in my wallet. I'll show you. See? And I pull out the gift card, and I say, look it. I have a 2:00 opening today. If you could get on the phone right now with someone that that will sit down with me at 2:00, this $25 gift card is yours.
Heck, I'm going to call somebody.
And it's been working. I'm telling you, and you know what? You could say it and it's not going to have as much value as if you already got that card in your hand and you can show it to them. When they visualize it and they see it, they want that card to go from my hand to their hand. So they're going to start getting on the phone and calling people. And that's what they do. And yeah, I mean, last few weeks, I've written some business from that, from referrals. If I didn't write anything off of referrals, I've obtained some more referrals from doing it that way. But kind of back to what we're talking about, it's not a guaranteed sale, the leads, but we should be able to close at least 20 to 25% of our leads. I always break it down. If I have 30 leads, I should be able to have 15 appointments set. And on 15 appointments, I should be able to make 7 or 8 sales. And that's going to be 20 to 25% of my leads. If I can make 7 or 8 sales on 30 leads, right there, I'm writing close to 5,000 in premium every week. Easy.
So I'm going to step out. I'm going to let you finish the show since I opened the show today. And you guys are in great hands.
All right. And we'll be closing up here shortly, guys. But and thanks, Chris, for everything that you've done and all your input today as well. Know that and like I said, know the good days are going to make up for the bad. You have a bad day on Monday, you got to get up and go out on Tuesday. I remember once I took out an agent and let's see. Yeah, I remember once I took out an agent and we went out 2 days in a row training. And I think the one day was okay. The second day I wrote like 6,000 in premium and I got like 25 referrals while I was out working with this guy. And this guy's like totally pumped up. And I've always said sometimes it sucks because I feel like maybe sometimes I make it look too easy. It's just because I've been doing it so long. I'm so comfortable. I always know what to say. And just, I always have an answer before they're even done saying what they want to say. But this guy, he goes out 2 days training with me. The second day of training, I gave the guy like 25 leads. And then the next day he went out in the field and he fell flat on his face. And he called me that night and was like, Adam, this is not for me. And I'm just thinking, you just saw me write $6,000 in premium and get 25 referrals in one day. And you go out and you have one bad day. And now you just realize that you just think this isn't for you. It's like such a small sample size. And I think that's an issue too, is that I think people give up too soon. They give up too quickly. If this didn't work, like I said, 22 years in business now. If this didn't work, I would have found something else to do by now. But I've had plenty of bad days, but the good days are always going to make up for them. And then let's see what else we got here. Get used to getting rejected and be able to brush it off. When someone rejects you, remember that is their loss. It's not yours. You are there to help them. And if they don't want your help, that's their problem, not yours. Like I said yesterday, I had one, I drove an hour out of my way to an appointment that was not there. And I just kind of had to brush it off and move on with my day. I had to drive an hour back to the area that I was working. So it took up 2 hours out of my day. But I wasn't just going to, I'm not going to let that ruin my day. I'm not going to let that ruin my week. Things happen. You just got to get over it. I've had guys where they go out and that something like that could happen early in the morning and they go home and pout about it. Well, that's why you're failing. You got to brush things off. And you just, like I keep saying, you got to move forward and forget about it. Short-term memory. Always be laid back, assumptive, and positive. I always assume the sale. I kind of feel like that's the reason why I'm there is to help them with what they requested the information on. So, and I'm always laid back. I feel like majority, especially in final expense, I feel like the majority of our clients are pretty laid back. You can't be walking up and be like overly professional, I guess you could say. I'm pretty good with kind of matching the tonality and like the personality even of the people that I'm sitting down with. So I think that's something too. Maybe that takes a little bit of time to learn, but yeah, always be laid back, assume the sale, and always be positive. Always have that mindset of the reason I'm here is because they requested this information, and I'm just here to do what I can to help them. And do whatever it takes to get in touch with your leads. Like I said, that's huge. You can't give up on your leads too soon. Some agents, maybe they call their leads and they do what they can to set up appointments. And if they can't reach the lead over the phone, well, then it's a bad lead. They never do anything with it. In my opinion, especially if you are working out in the field, you gotta take those same leads, even people that shut you down over the phone, and you got to take them out there and you got to door knock them. And I've always kind of had that mindset of if they tell me no over the phone, that's just one no. They got to tell me no to my face too, or vice versa. If I door knock the lead and they slam the door in my face, well, they still got to tell me no over the phone. These days, heck, I could sell that person over the phone if I really wanted to. So I'm just not going to give up on the lead that soon. They tell you no over the phone. Just remember that. They got to tell you no to your face as well. And then that's where here, you get rejected over the phone, show up 2 days later with the same lead in hand. Most of the time, the client won't even realize it was the same person that they talked to over the phone. You don't want to tell them, oh, I'm the guy you hung up on the other day. No, just treat it like a new lead. A lot of times I've said this too many times, they think it's a telemarketer on the phone. They don't want to give you the time of day. They're real quick to just say no and hang up on you. Where you show up, they don't even realize it was the same person that they talked to over the phone. And they might be the nicest person in the world and let you in and do business. And I'd say probably at least 50% of the time, that's usually the reaction I get. Our appointment setters, they put a lot of notes in a spreadsheet of leads that they got rejected on. And I try not to look at that because I don't want to pre-program my mind when I'm out in the field and be hesitant to go knock on a door because the person said, absolutely not. I don't want anybody coming by my house. In the notes section on this spreadsheet, I don't want to see that. I don't want to put that thought in my mind. And what's funny though is that I'll go and I'll door knock these leads that they haven't set appointments with. A lot of times I'll get in the door, and then when I get done after I make a sale, I'll go back and I'll look at that spreadsheet and I'll see those notes. And it's laughable so many times how many are like highlighted in red, like to put on the do not call list, that they don't want to be bothered anymore. And I just sat down with that person and made a sale. So yeah, just don't give up on your leads too soon. Show up a few days later, and you may have a completely different result than you did over the phone. And set those goals and reward yourself, and set goals, maybe not even just production goals, but financial goals. Reward yourself. There's so many different ways you can do this. I used to reward myself by, if I write $6,000 in premium by Friday, I'll reward myself by taking off on Saturday. Like just little things like that. Don't set yourself short. If you're a brand new agent, maybe focus on writing 3,000 in the week. Now, if you break that down into a smaller number, 3,000 for the week is $250 of monthly premium. So all that is $50 of monthly premium a day, Monday through Friday. That is not that difficult. Right there, if you do that Monday through Friday and your goal was 3,000 for the week, well, then reward yourself by taking off on Saturday. If you don't hit the goal by Friday, get your butt out there on Saturday and do what you can to hit that goal. Make it a reward to take off on Saturday. Don't just take off on Saturday because that's the world we live in, and people that work a 9-to-5 job are off on Saturdays and Sundays. This is not a 9-to-5 job. This is a 1099. You're an independent contractor. You run your own business and you decide your hours. So if you don't hit that goal by Friday, get your butt out there and work on Saturday. And you'll be glad that you did. I mean, there's been many days I've worked Saturdays. I know Chris has worked Saturdays. I've worked Sundays in this business. You can't treat it like the 9-to-5. Or if you treat it like a 9-to-5 career, you're going to get those sort of results, and you're going to miss out on a lot of business. Check out my website too, adambrsan.com. You can register for future trainings on there. I'd be happy to add you to our mail list. That way, every single week, you will receive an email about what the future topics are going to be. I can stick around. Looks like Chris is back here. I guess he got his kids off the bus.
Yeah.
So
super quick.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, we can, I can hang out for a couple minutes. If Chris has any closing thoughts, we can talk about that, and we can see if anybody throws any questions into the question box, and we could discuss them.
We did have one that came up earlier that I answered in the text, but Gary did ask, basically a question about, they thought it was free, which I love to tackle on a regular basis, because the people that we talk to in final expense and in Medicare are, generally speaking, older than us, have been doing it longer than us, and know that it isn't free. No matter what the bait piece is on the lead card, be it the Walmart card or the vanilla government lead card, they know what they're doing when they fill out some form of marketing. And when you allow yourself to believe otherwise, then that might be the reason why you didn't get in the home to write the business.
Yeah, most definitely. Same thing, great question. Kind of brings us right back to today's topic of mindset. And if you go out there with the mindset of everybody here is just going to want that free Walmart card because that's what it says on the card. I've seen some that say free memorial guide on them. Oh God, everybody's just going to want this free memorial guide.
I've never given up.
I have plenty of them. I go through a memorial guide in my presentation.
Perfect.
So, but that also builds value. Builds value kind of going through that, where you're not just strictly focused on talking about face amounts and rates. We're talking about different things that are going to make a difference with their family when the time comes. So, but yeah, again, at the end of the day, it's all mindset. If you go out there with the mindset, you just think all they're going to want is the free gift card or the free memorial guide, or they just thought this was free. Well, then that's what everybody. Yeah, then that's how it is. Everybody just wanted the free gift card, because that's the mindset that you had going into it.
We asked what other tips and tricks that you guys wanted to share from the audience for over the weekend. Tori said, buy more leads and call more people. Honestly, that solves most of your problems in life. Any other problem probably should be taken to a therapist, but most of your problems can be solved by buying more leads, calling more people, and working more often.
Yeah, talking about a lot about consistency, and that's the key. When I decided to partner up with you, Chris, one of the big things was, the amount of business that I saw you writing, and the kind of like the system that you had. And I've always just kind of had that mindset: if someone else can do it, I see no reason why I can't. I was already successful in the business, wrote a lot of business throughout the years, but you were writing more than me. So heck, I'm not afraid to adapt and change if it's going to help me. And that's where, again, I incorporated the appointment setters.
Mm-hmm.
uh, about, well, really ever since I started a couple years ago, got the appointment setter started, became to become more consistent when it came to ordering leads on a regular basis. And that's really the key. We talk about that, really, consistency too. That's any business. You got to be consistent. And with us, the biggest part of it is the leads. You got to be consistent with always having new people to see. I know I called you last night, just checking on the leads, and mainly just wanting to make sure that I'm set for next week, because I got to make sure that I got that steady flow every single week coming in. So
we have a plan
that's
A,
important.
B, and C. Like any upline relationship should be providing to their agents is marketing.
Yep.
In an independent marketing organization, this shouldn't be something you got to guess on your own. Josh said he likes to make sure that his leads are ready. Double check any correspondence. Check your email, your snail mail, your voicemail, your texts. You can find premium to write in all of these boxes of your life if you choose to look in them. Kyrese said that fear is a dream killer if you let it. I think a lot of times people are afraid to fail, and that inhibits their ability to dream bigger. Just kind of going through the comments. Most of them are comments more than questions this morning, but I think it's cool. You can drop this right into the live stream.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Chris. I think we covered quite a bit today. Thanks again, everybody, for hopping on. This content again is put out there on the Insurance Life and Everything in Between YouTube channel. The YouTube channel now has video as well as the audio podcast that can listen to pretty much whenever you want, as well as Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it. Lots of different platforms. We have the content out there, and that's just for you all. So, and please share our content. Share our content with others. It's really just there to help people in the industry to get better. And we figure, heck, if we can help people in the industry get better, and we can help more people with teaching them how to do things the right way, it will just make the industry better as a whole. So, share the content, comment, and even if you have other ideas, kind of how I always end our podcast, the closing on the podcast, any ideas for future episodes, feel free to share. We're always looking for new content. If you're an agent or an agency owner too, we've interviewed many different agency and agency owners in the industry. Whether you're a part of us or not, we don't care. We just like to share good content from good people that know what they're talking about. If we don't know who you are, maybe we'll vet you a little bit before we put you on. But yeah, if you want to be on our show, if you want to be on the podcast, if you want to be on a future training, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to have you on. And then, that helps you too to get bigger, and you can share it with others as well. So thanks again, and hope y'all have a great week. We'll see you again, same time, same place, next Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. Thanks again.
Take care.